yetu. And the only way we can do that is our leaders creating environment, a conducive environment for us. Wale leaders wanafanya tujipate kwa situation kama hizi, si tukubalishe tu tulive na wao ama kamiti ikuwe their home. That is all I want to say, kwa sababu I'm afraid that sisi ambao tunatoka nje, maisha yetu inakuwa dragged nyuma. Yes, we lend money home, but sisi wenyewe tunabaki nyuma as youth, kwa sababu pahali uliachia maisha yako utakuja kuanzia from zero again ukirudi Kenya. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, GIJ. And we have a president who is encouraging Kenyans to leave the country and go work abroad. Imagine. Brain drain, labor export. It's amazing. Instead of providing jobs for us and giving us a country where we can stay and enjoy, he's shipping us out and selling us out. And we don't want to leave our country. Anyway, microphone to Francis Odhiambo. Karibu kwenye space.
Thank you, Afrocentric. Now, I had a question that has really been disturbing me, and I would like to ask Senior Counsel Martha Karua, Honorable Martha Karua, maybe to respond to this, and it is with regards to corruption. Now, we know very well a country that is corrupt is a country that kills his or her people indirectly. A very good scenario, maybe if I can give example, and I believe the Senior Counsel is listening. Last year we had scandals in the KEMSA, the body that is mandated to distribute medical staff. We had scandals there. You get to hear that some medicines have disappeared. I don't know what have you. So the question is, and even before the question, when maybe somebody steals medicine that is meant to go to the hospital to help a cancer patient somewhere, or any other kind of sickness, when that person steals that medicine and divert it to his or her own clinic, don't you think that that person is killing another Kenyan indirectly, simply by just stealing what is meant for another person? Now, here comes the question. Now, given that corruption is killing indirectly, why don't we come up with a law if really we want to deal with corruption as a country? I know the position of the law is that as a country we have done away with capital punishment, but because we are the people, and we are the people who want to see that much needed change in our country, and especially with regards to corruption. Now, why don't we relook at this act where we did away with capital punishment, we reintroduce it as a country, so that these people who are corrupt, these people who steal billions of money that are meant for the country, they can be hanged, because they don't deserve to live. If themselves, they are killing other people indirectly by their deeds, why should we not also kill them by capital punishment? I think that question goes to Senior Counsel Martha Karua. And as I conclude, as a country and as a youth, we are in the right trajectory. We have been neglected for quite some time, and I'm very happy that there is an awakening call for each and every one of us to stand up and fight for their country. Because you see, these bad things that are currently happening, we should not allow them, the next generation, to inherit them. At least they should stop with us, so that the next generation that will come after us, they find a better home to call, they find a better place to call home. These things like tribalism, corruption, social injustice, extrajudicial killing, those things should really end in us. I really don't think the president has the country at heart. The president ascended to power on the basis that people viewed him as the only alternative based on how he managed to talk to people. You know, President Ruto is a very sweet talker, and that's how he managed to get into power. But we are totally seeing a different person who don't want really to listen to the plight of the people. Now, maybe if Senior Counsel gets time, she can respond to that question with regards to reintroducing capital.
Francis, are you still there? Joely, can you hear him?
Yes, I'm there. I don't know if you got my question.
Yes. Are we finished? Francis, I'm losing you. Okay, I think we lost Francis. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just collect a couple of questions, and then Senior Counsel will answer them at a go. Hannah, are you ready to ask your question?
Yeah, thank you, Afro, and your two co-hosts and everybody in the space. And thank you, Mother Karo, again, for giving your time. We much appreciate all the time that you give in all the different spaces. And I wanted to say asante, but my question is one that I've not been able to understand. And not only now, Afrocentric, you remember the day that the cabinet was resolved, I told you that I'm not excited about that because the same people will crawl their way back into some other offices, or they will crawl their way back into government positions, if anything. So this is just ripping one band-aid off and putting another one while people were discussing that. I hope you do remember. However, before I get to what I wanted to say, I would just ask the question and maybe come back to my point after a few people have got the chance to speak. My question is this. For a long time, Mother Karua, I've been asking, we have a lot of problems with a system that is not delivering for the many, but delivering for the few. And this has always been there. But many times you would see people touch on corruption, people touch on things that are not going well in our system in all different departments, whether it's the agriculture, education, health, etc. But there's one thing that I've not understood. For me, this has always been like a Houdini show, a magic show, when we see people being interviewed and them declaring their wealth, and they're being interviewed by the same government that is working with them, that is their friends. And Kenyans have taken this for the longest time that I can remember, knowing very well this declaration of wealth is not true. It's not verified, but then it's blindly taken, knowing that somebody could say he is worth billions and cannot declare where it came from. We all know their salaries. And those are the declared ones, leave alone the ones that comes under relative friends and all that, that the names are put into other people's. But even the ones they have the audacity to come in front of Kenyans and declare and call it a genuine declaration of their wealth is a charade. And the government never scrutinized those findings. So my question is this, and for a long time, this has been bothering me. How can we fix that system of this interviewing and just not scrutinizing them enough, not questioning them enough, knowing that the government knows where this wealth was obtained and how it was obtained? How can we change that system of interviewing people and their wealth and not calling them out? No one time has anybody who has been interviewed told that, no, you need to go to court because you've not declared the money that you have, it's not satisfactory. Where have you got this wealth? Where did you accumulate this wealth? Thank you, Afrocentric. My views on Nanenane and Bangladesh, I'll come back when other Kenyans get time to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. The real Joe, microphone is yours.
Thank you very much, Afro. I hope you can hear me.
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. My point is just going to be, first of all, the comparison between us and Bangladesh and the lessons we learned from there. Bangladesh citizens decided not to continue living in a failed state. And therefore, my point is we are a failed state as well. And I'll also pass the message to the senior council to answer if you are a failed state or not. So let me give my points. I say this because we have an incompetent parliament that only serves the interests of a few, about 200, 300 individuals. We have a silent media that has been gagged into silence, and lately the media is only airing matters to do with the coup. I don't know what message they are sending. We have a church that is an accomplice to this state that continues to unleash brutality to its citizens, youths in that matter. The church even gives platform in their purported sanctuaries for these people to spread misinformation. We have a judiciary that is captured. I have not seen Martha Koome raise any pertinent questions to the current regime in matters that the youths have raised. We are seeing a state that is giving out our resources, our resources aimlessly to other people. We are seeing a killer police that is only full of abductees and murderers. We are seeing a government that does not respect the rule of law, led by an illegitimate leader. In fact, illegitimate is just being nice. Our leader is not even illegitimate. He is incapacitated. We are dealing with the mad king himself, a president who only 2 words can come out of his mouth: false and empty promises and threats. He's even branding youths who are fighting for their rights. He's branding them anarchists. Who is an anarchist? An anarchist is the person who is ordering for the murder of citizens who are fighting for their rights. An anarchist are economic terrorists in our country who are only siphoning public funds. An anarchist is a person who believes in his alluded mind that there are no abductions happening in our country, yet we even have missing persons. An anarchist is the person who is not able to recognize that we have lost several lives in this particular campaign and in this movement, and be able to recognize the fact that the people do not want him to be in office, and therefore be able to do the honorable thing and step aside. He is not the supreme leader of our country, and therefore when called upon to step aside, he's supposed to be able to step aside. And that's why I called him the mad king. He is the mad king. He's full of paranoia, and you can attest to that. He's cancelled even the launch of Eldoret City. He's paranoid. He can't even leave the country to go and attend other meetings elsewhere. He can't. He's only singly become cruel. He's cruel to the extent that he cannot see that Kenyans are dying just because he is in that seat and he does not want to leave, telling us that we have to wait for 5 years. Why should we wait for 5 years? He has failed in the first 2 years. He has failed in the first 2 years. He has been unable to make any constitutional decision. He has been unable to do that. And therefore, we are dealing with the mad king. And as I conclude, there's someone who's talked about capital offense. I want to maybe tell this person that, you see, even if we put capital offense in our laws, that will not solve the problem. We need to have a leadership that is cognizant of the fact that they have to make decisions that are in the best interest of our country. Actually, in our constitution, I've had so many people always raise issues that we have gaps in our constitution. According to me, I think the only gaps that we have in our constitution are best interest, a public service that makes decisions that are in the best interest of our country, a public service that has goodwill. That is the only gap. Otherwise, we do not have major gaps in our constitutions. Yes, we might have gaps, we can fill them, but we need first of all able to have a public service, not a few fools seated somewhere and making their own decisions. And therefore, I urge you, on the 8th of August, let us come out in large numbers carrying 3 things: a bottle of water, a flag, and the message, Ruto must go. Umbwa kabisa.
Hey, hey. Thank you so much. I'd like to give the microphone to Kanjo. Can you hear us?
Yeah, nawapata viti, mko fiti?
Uko tayari? Nanenane match?
Niko Nanenane lazima. Kwanza mimi natoka hapa pipeline. Na budajo, kila siku mimi nikienda Wera, vijana wako kwa hiyo shimo wanatoa hizo mimi. Sijaiona hata Sakaja hapo, hata MP. Raila tu alikuja hapo juzi kupiga hiyo siasa yake hapo. Anyway, hebu acha mimi nitoe kitu nilikuwa nataka kusema. Number 1, mimi nataka niwaambie majamaa. Hii vita, the current war that is going on, this war is for the truth and freedom. Inafaa mjue hii vita ni between God and the devil. Ina happen all over the world. These people who are leading us, they are in bed with the devil. Mama Martha, I know you are here. You can reach William Ruto. Mwambie aje. Anafanya the name of our sovereign Lord Jesus Christ. Ikae ni kama Jesus ni joka. Juu anasimama hapo kwa podium lying in the name of Jesus Christ. So the young generation wanaona ni kama ati Mungu tu ni muongo. Like this young generation, they don't subscribe to hii mambo ya religion, and we can't afford to have a lawless society where people can't have. We have to believe in something. We have to. Our leaders are failing us. Meaning, the reason why naenda Nanenane Cafe nini Thursday ni the last maandamano, they came here in pipeline na wakatupiga tear gas kwa manyumba. So mimi siwezi kaa kwa nyumba yangu, nitatoka na mtoto wangu anaitwa Ella, nitatoka naye, tutakuwa naye kwa ground. Juu last time tear gas zilipigwa huko mtaani na ilimchoka akiwa kejani. Sasa hiyo fear ndo mimi niko nayo, na kila siku mimi nikienda kazi naona watu wakitoba body zinatolewa huko kwa hiyo ditch. In a country where MP earns 1 million, hakuna kitu wameleta hapo, ni vijana wanajitokeza wanatoa hizo mamili. Surely, kwani nyinyi mnatuona aje? We are people, we are human beings. This is my message to the DCI, people who are in police, the forces. You guys are our brothers. Don't kill us, man. Don't kill us. Maisha imekuwa ngumu. Unafungua biashara, kibanda yako inakuja na bombolewa. Mimi niko na talent ya football, nili give up on football. Nimeanza biashara, nilibomolewa place yangu ya biashara. Sina hata passport. So where am I to go? Like, what do I do? What do you guys want us to do? My brothers in DCI, sisi ni mandugu zenu. We are brothers. Sisi wote ni wa Kenya. Don't touch a boys, young guys. Mimi niko tu 26, niko na mtoto mmoja buda. Sasa natoka nje, maisha imekuwa ngumu na mtu anakuwa abducted. Hiyo ndio fear inafanya mimi nitaenda tarehe 8. Juu watu wamekufa. Ware hapa kuna madama alipigwa risasi a certain Sunday. Juu watu walikuwa wamejaa hapo. Media haikuongelea, hakuna mtu anatutetea. Na mimi hiyo fear iko na mimi ndani yangu. That's why mimi natoka. Sitoki juu ati nini. Vijana wanatetea nchi. Mimi sikuwa part of the maandamano ya last time, sijaienda. But sasa hii naenda juu. Last time masubaru zilikuja hapa pipeline, Subaru hazina number plate, tembea na wanafiata risasi anyhow, mpaka hata watu wameogopa na mtu kapigwa mpaka na tear gas. What are we to do? Where do you want us to run? Mtu kama mimi sina hata passport. Where do you want me to go? Budangu ako 76 years old, mamangu ako 6. I'm 26. What do you want me to do? If I'm not safe in Kenya, where should I be safe? Anyway, this is my message to the Gen Z. I believe Almighty God, the giant killer, ako saidi yetu. Hii vita lazima tutashinda. Hii vita lazima. Let's believe in God. And I've been fasting for that day. For the last 3 days nimekuwa nikifast. Na mimi ndajitokeza na mtoto wangu mwenye alipigwa tear gas last time. I have to go to the street. I can't sit and I can't die a coward. Thank you guys.
Hey, powerful, powerful. Hey, people are commitment on another level. This is the commitment and love for your country like never be seen. Guys, Nanenane March, keep the hashtag, put it in the comment section. Let's keep this number one. This is what is on the consciousness of every Kenyan. Our consciousness is pure, our objective is pure, and we are ready for Nanenane. Crossroads, Kenya at crossroads. We are writing history. Right now, the history books of Kenya are open. Will you be there? That's for you to answer. I'll give the microphone to Billy Mijungu. Karibu kwenye space, comrade. Mike is yours. Go ahead. Billy, can you hear me? Billy can't hear me. Emmanuel, are you with us? Emmanuel? Emmanuel can't hear us. 6,000?
Hello.
Yes.
Oh yes. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak. I just wanted to ask, how do we expect to deal with the international influence? Because right now across African countries we are seeing a wave of what I'd like to describe as the Pan-African influence. Yani kusema watu wanaamka across the continent, and we're starting to see even across Europe they are starting to deteriorate. So how do you expect to deal with this problem coming forward, even as we remove Ruto and we move to 2027? I expect that some of us in this space will be active in the government. So how do you expect to deal with that external factor of influence that comes with the IMF, the World Bank, and the possible sanctions that will come? So how do you expect to deal with that? Thank you so much. That's the question I had.
Okay, yeah. Senior counsel is still taking the questions. We're taking a group of questions, then she'll answer it at one go. Next question. Who else am I? 6. Microphone is yours. 6, you can't hear us? Okay. Pauline Kenyan. Pauline, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear
Welcome.
me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you so very much for this opportunity, and good morning from my end. So I just was saying, we've seen what happened in Bangladesh. Sorry, I joined the space a bit later, but I would like to say this to all my Kenyan people. This fight, we started it, and we have to see it to the end. People have been sold fear. They've tried to use all sorts of impunity on us, the Kenyan citizens, and it pains me so much seeing the people, the leaders who are elected to serve, turning against their own people. Actually, these people were elected by Kenyans of goodwill who hoped they would change their lives, who hoped for a better Kenya, but they've turned against us. Why? Because if you see these people campaigning, they dish out money. So that speaks volumes. Why do you have to buy the trust of people if you really are willing to serve these people with a genuine heart. So the point is, Nanenane, everyone should go out. Na polisi, if they're here, like the former speakers have said, do not kill us. It's so unfortunate that wanatumiwa kuwa fellow Kenyans na pia wanateseka. Those, I don't know, wanalipwa hela kidogo, they're being paid little to nothing, and they still go out there and try to kill. Why? Because they're trying to protect someone. We should do what Bangladesh did. I'm not saying it has to be nasty and everything. Why are we here in the first place? It's because we've lost trust in the ruling power, in the ruling party, and the people who hold power. So we should be out there. We should not relent. And as Kenyans, again, tusiuziwe woga. We didn't come all this way to just give up. Watu wanasemanga Mau took 9 years, yes, and at the end of the day we gained our independence, but we are not independent because of what the power is like at the moment. There are people in the ruling class. So ningetaka kuambia Kenya, mama mboga yoyote, mtu wa nduthi pale, msitumike, msiende kulipwa pesa kidogo kidogo, hapa ndio mcause chaos. Hii kitu ina affect kila mtu na ina affect kila Mkenya. So ningetaka kuambia again, kama watu wanaenda pale nje kukuwa influenced, mnatoa hiyo, you say the information, you post it online, you say it, and we can amplify that, but don't accept to be used. I know politicians are nasty, and these are the nastiest people I've ever seen. They do the roguest things just to protect their own selfish interest. Unaona mtu analipwa mabilioni za hela, ako na mabilioni, na wewe hata hauna chakula jioni, na mko nchi moja. I know the disimbalance is just so crazy. Ninasema Nanenane has to go. Wanatuita anarchist, wanatuita mambo zote. I'm like, why? Mbona mnakashifu a common Kenyan citizen with nothing just because they're standing out for their rights? Why? So Nanenane, watu wasiuziwe uoga. Inakuaffect wewe mwenye uko pale kwenye kijiji, mwenye uko pale kwa estate, hauna kitu ya kula, yani maisha ni ngumu, na unaona bado watu wanaenda pale kuwamwagia pesa kila Jumapili. So I just wanted to say, watu watoke nje, you have to express yourself, msiwe na uoga, watu watawa wengi, na mnatembea kama Wakenya na uzalendo, na watu wasiuziwe uoga. Mmesikia watu wengi wameongea hapa, na we are all in the same boat. We are all in this thing together. Na watu wasi give up, we should not give up at all. We are fighting for a better Kenya. Hata kama si wewe itakuaffect, haututaona labda changes leo, but mtoto wako yule ambaye uko naye utaona, you'll see the changes. Even if it's not in this lifetime, maybe tutakuwa wazee, we're still young, we're still pushing, but I believe we should make a mark, because wao watu wanatuona wapuzi sana, wanatuona wajinga, na bado wanaendelea kujibonga vifua, wanajigamba. Kwa nini wanajigamba na Mkenya anaumia? It pains me so much to see my own people, tunasuffer, economy, you know, it's hard everywhere, but how can it be this hard na watu wanatumia mabilioni kila kuchao? It's so wrong. So Nanenane has to go, and we have to make a big impact. Mama mboga, mtoto mdogo, yani watu watokee, because this is a Kenyan cause, and we have to make our voices heard. Na polisi, tafadhali mwache kutumiwa. Hao watu wanakuja wamejimask. Why are you masking your faces? Why? Mnajigonga vifua mkiua watu. Hiyo damu mmemwaga itawafuata wewe na nyinyi na vizazi vyenyu nyinyi. It's so sad to see my Kenyans suffering like this. It's unfathomable. I can't even comprehend it. So Nanenane, we have to go out there and make these people know what we are all about. We don't mean bullshit. We mean business, and things have to work for the betterment of the Kenyan population. That's all I have to say, Afrocentric, and thanks for this opportunity. Asante.
Thank you so much, Pauline, for adding your voice and appending your voice to the movement. Your voice has been heard loud and clear. Yes. Oh, you can hear us now?
I can hear you.
Your voice is a little bit muffled. Your voice is a little bit muffled.
Okay.
Hey, Afro.
You're clear now. We can.
Yeah, mimi nataka kuongea na Martha Karua personally, like man to woman, because I have questions that she should answer us, we as a generation, face to face. So if you give me that chance, I'll accept. I can ask her, she answers kindly.
Yeah, she's taking questions. You can go ahead.
Hizi nilikuwa nataka kujibu ama wacha ayo amuulize alafu nitamuuliza.
Okay. Thank you. Are you? What did you say, madam?
He should just go ahead and ask.
Okay. 6, go ahead.
So, Martha, here's the thing. If you were the president right now, would you have resigned?
Definite.
So, if you would have resigned, what makes it different with the incident in 2007?
If you allow me to answer straight away, can you specifically say what of 2007 you are asking about?
In 2007,
Vagueness. Yeah.
Mwai Kibaki had pressure to resign when there was an electoral fraud that happened. And you almost slapped the then member of parliament of North Nandi, who was William Ruto. So what makes the situation different with right now that we are pressing for William Ruto to resign?
Kibaki was under no pressure to resign. What I recall is a dispute about the elections. When Kibaki was announced winner, the ODM protested. So there was no pressure for Kibaki to resign. There was later an agreement to share power. And if you care to remember, I resigned from the Grand Coalition government after 1 year on principle when I realized that we were no longer following the path beneficial to the people. So what specifically is it that you accuse me of into? And I can answer you.
Yeah, so in 2007, my father was almost killed because he was supporting PNU by then. And there was an electoral fraud whereby the ruling party by then stole elections, which created the presidency. And there was a lot of bloodshed. The president was sworn in at night. And that is an incident that has been happening in Kenya, which means you are supporting electoral fraud, and that is what we as Kenyans, we are currently fighting.
That is not true. The electoral fraud, as per the Kriegler report, which is a neutral report, not done by PNU and not done by ODM, and it is a public record for you to read. There was serious vote exaggeration on both sides. When I went to KICC as Kibaki's agent, I went after the count of my vote in Geshugu, which was counted normally, and I won. And at KICC, we were merely witnessing the announcement. As far as I'm concerned, from KICC, Kibaki was announced winner, and we made arrangements for him to be sworn the same day at 5 p.m. because it was announced at 4. Swearing started at 5 p.m. going on. The ceremony went on past 6. It was necessary. Yeah, let me finish. It was necessary. His mandate was ending that day on 30th. Excuse me. It was ending on 30th. It was 30th of December. And at midnight, there would have been a power vacuum. Legally, it was necessary to swear him. And I can tell you that I'm aware that the votes of Chepalungu, Raila had been credited with 337,000. When we were checking them at night at KICC, I questioned that because the entire population of Chepalungu then was not even 300,000. And the commission admitted that it was a mistake. A 3 had been added in front of the 37,000 votes. This is just an example. ODM on its side had problems with Juja, with Tharaka Nithi. At that time, we did not know exactly the extent of the fraud until the Kriegler report. So I would advise that you read that public record. Do not take my word only, so that these emotions about 207 and about my brothers wanting to wash their bloody hands off my dress should end. I was at KIC, just like Orengo and others were for Raila. I hope I have answered.
I have another question. No? And this question is this. Sorry, I have an echo. I'm in the boardroom. I want to ask you this question. What are you benefiting right now from this movement?
I have not benefited, and I do not expect to benefit. And if you have checked me publicly, I've been out of government for 13 years. I've been out of government, this is the 13th year, and out of public, an elected space. But there is not a single time I have failed to add my voice on issues that count to the people. So for me, my motivation is not position. It is not money. It is a call from inside to do what I can for my country. I hope that answers you.
Yeah, that answers me. But Tribeless, just a minute. I'm winding. This is the last question. And my last submission to Martha Karua. Martha, may I want to advise you. There's a time I was on a certain space, and you said, you talked about octogenarians, and there's no problem about recycling leaders. Now, this is my advice to you. If you want to help this movement and this generation from recycling these leaders, look at the current cabinet that we have with people over 65 years handling matters concerning the youth. They even don't understand whatever problems and challenges the youth are facing. Right now, the world has moved into a technology sector. So this is my advice to you. One, if you want to help this movement, you should hold a press statement and tell people to come out on Nanenane and fight for their country. Two, you should retire from active politics and go back and enjoy your retirement benefits, because you people are rich. You are worth 600 million, as I checked during the presidential debate. So me, I just want to advise you, if you want to help this movement, currently retire from active politics. And secondly, we will only engage you matters concerning law and other things and maybe advice. But for this movement, we currently don't need voices that are going to take advantage of the movement the way the opposition that you are part of did in the negotiation. So that is my current submission. And to people of the Republic of Kenya, Nanenane is bigger and better. It is time we go out and fight for our country. There is no time to listen to other people. There is no time to say, Siju, who infiltrated who. You go out as a person. This is organic. Nobody is funding us. And we should go out there and fight for our country. Nanenane should be bigger and better. Thank you. For Martha, just retire and continue with life. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I advise you back and tell you that I shall not retire? You did not call me to the course, and nobody did. I will retire when my breath is no more.
Thank you so much.
And by that means that whether in a position or not, I will continue to add my voice. It's a right you cannot take, and integrity is not by age, it's by what is in you. We have leaders right now in that parliament and in the government that Kenyans are routing. Some of them are young and corrupt. Others are old and corrupt. I see a government just like a home. Just because you have become of age, you do not do away with your parents. So a government is like a home. It will have the old, it will have the young, it will have the middle age. And I will not belabor more on that point. May I ask whether I can answer Hannah Ali's question at this time?
Yes,
Yes,
kindly do.
please. Go ahead.
Hannah Ali has asked about the vetting process, the way I understood it. And I want to tell her that vetting currently is just a circus. And yes, there are false declarations of wealth. I think what we need is full implementation of the Constitution, electing leadership on the basis of Chapter 6, people with integrity, and once elected, people embracing the leadership principles contained in the Constitution. It is a big blot on our institutions, beginning with Parliament, the DCI, EACC, sometimes the courts. Our systems are broken. The transparency that is embedded in our Constitution means yearly when leaders, public officers declare wealth, it should not be in a sealed envelope. It should be open, and it should be somewhere online people can check, where people can participate, where people can question the amount declared, and where investigations can be had. But none of our institutions seem to be totally above board, which again is an indictment on us as the people, because the professionals manning those institutions are Kenyans. And we collectively, not individually, because individually we are not all corrupt. Collectively, we are the ones rigging the system against ourselves. Right now, we are calling on the police to act in accordance with the law. We are happy when some of the courts act in accordance with the law. We need a conversation as Kenyans. What is our civic duty on building this country, on making us live the dream embodied in our Constitution, on making our institutions work? Even the corruption in leadership and during voting is aided and abetted by the people. We need to have a conversation on how to get over this. And I am glad that the youth in this revolution have initiated the conversation already. But we need to get deeper into it, because what ails our nation is that even those who are not corrupt give up when they see how widespread this thing is. And I want to agree with Kanjo that a lot of people are being forced into desperation by exclusion from the economic mainstream, because the system favors a few, as was stated by Hannah Ali. The state has been sort of repurposed to serve the ruling elite, not to serve a majority. And something I forgot to add.
Guys, can you hear?
I cannot hear her. I think we lost
We
her.
can't hear her. Can't hear.
Senior counsel, we have lost you.
Afro,
Yes.
Afro, before Martha arudi, nataka kumwambia, when your parents are not capable of going out to make food, you as a child, you are supposed to bring the food to them. So the idea of them wanting to rule till 100 years, we do not accept. And it is our time to now lead this country. For them, they should retire.
So,
I
Afro,
think,
is it my time?
yes, but Matakaro can't hear you. I think she
Okay,
got a
then I'll
call.
wait.
Yeah. Wait, I think she got a call. I think she's on a call. But engineer just go.
Thank you, bro. Once and for all, I'm thinking again of again we are missing the mark. My distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to challenge you on what we are doing. Number one, let me take this movement as a sweeter on a marriage that we are proposing to have. We introduced the sweeter to our hedgemates or else our colleagues in Bangladesh the other day. Unfortunately, they have gone with the girl. Today they are celebrating the girl. But as what are we doing on our other sides at the advance of the same? We are failing for one reason, one factor, one simple thing. We are listening too much. We are listening external voices too much. How? I remember on that very much Tuesday, when we managed to enter the parliament, Boniface came in and he was there mobilizing now us. And then nyumbani kumekuwa kumbaya. The question is, if truly you are for us, if truly you are for the movement, then why will you use your influence, your voice, to tell the people to go home, not have achieved their mission, not have meant their call of the sovereign duty they were up to? My friends, I won't say what Six is asking mother is wrong. In its better ways, right. But again, is it the right time? For me, no. Let's focus on Nanenane first. When Ruto manages to go home, all the trench will be cleaned and they will go home together. But the moment we shall now start dragging ourselves to 07, whatever came in and out, trust you me now, the minds will be shifted. Kenyan people will lack one thing. We are good in keyboards. We type a lot. We say a lot. But unfortunately, we lack consistency. It's my plea, Pastor Fidis. On Thursday, let's come out in large numbers. I'll be there personally. I'll be there. And then let's not have that afterthought month. What shall it happen? Definitely, our collective interest is Ruto to resign. And when we say Ruto, we have all agreed is Ruto's presidency. Usifike tu CBD, upige picha mbili tatu, alafu njitoe. Umeachia CBD nani? Let's go there. Let's gather there. Let's even sit there. Let's all speak out. Let's march toward the state house in our place. Raise your flanks, your vuvuzelas, your whistles. Back on our minds, Bangladesh have been doing this daily. But even for us, it was Wednesdays and then, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Assume now, this is just an assumption. We engineers love much assumption to come in conclusions. But just assume now Thursday we fail. Trust you me, if you go back to our drawing boards and start saying tisa, it will be joke of the year. We have been given one opportunity and one opportunity for all the generations. I truly know, very much know, making a policy to become to realization is not just an overnight thing. But opportunities here we are given. We shall meet the police. They are, as we are organizing on our sides, I am truly sure they are doing the same in their sides. But you remember what the Askari Gereza was saying yesterday night on KOT Space. They have been neglected. They are alone. I would urge all the informant, once we get in the state, tafadhali juu wewe sasa unatetea kazi yako, allow me to use my space to voice out your agenda. Jifanya hata kama unioni, lakini nitetea haki yako manze. Usinipige risasi, usipige tiangazi. We cannot bank on the parliament now. It is the corruptest thing ever. The parliament is not for us. All these politicians are just cousins. The courts will say this today. The parliament will do this, will just do the same against of what they said. In short, as I finalize Afrocentric, it's we and we alone. It's them and them alone. Today, irrespective of mother, the rest are singing the same song. As the music in Kenya Kwanza right now, we are alone. If we miss it on Thursday, we will have killed Kenya ourselves by our own hands. And if we win on Thursday, our kids and grandkids will come to pray these places and see there was once in lifetime Afro-Sin the odd space 48 hours ago liberations. And they will celebrate us as we celebrate the then Mother Karuas of that time. Make sure you come out on Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer. We had lost Senior Counsel Martha Karua. She was submitting. Can you hear us? Are you back?
Yes, yeah, you. I actually thought the space had ended.
No. We are here. You are midpoint answering.
Who I talked about the Kriegler report.
No.
I would like to tell you about 207. It is not good that you only listen to what I will say as a PNU person then, or what an ODM person will say. There is an independent report called the Kriegler report, which is a public document. You can Google it, and you'll be able to see that report found that both sides exaggerated the ballot to the extent that Judge Kriegler concluded it was so muddled up that it was difficult to say who won. So swearing in Kibaki, we swore him just after the Electoral Commission at 4 p.m. on the 30th announced him as a winner. We made arrangements and the ceremony started at 5. And the cocktails went into the night. It was necessary to do so. His mandate was ending that day at midnight. We could not let there be a vacuum. Remember that then we did not have a constitution that has timelines on how to swear in a president or how to transition. So we did what was right. And I remember 207, I was telling the disgruntled ODM to go to court. That's the way you resolve disputes, not by fighting, not by violence. And I have shown that I live by my word. My governorship was stolen in 2017 in Kirinyaga. I went to court. I was not granted justice even by the Supreme Court, forcing me to go to the East African Court, not to get the seat, but to be affirmed. 2022, I and Raila went to court. We were not given justice, but we did not cause violence. So the fact that we swore Kibaki should not be an excuse for anyone to have committed violence. And that is why you did not see me among those who were taken to The Hague. I abide by the rule of law as always. Lastly, about leaving politics, I reject that advice. I will not. The call is personal. And I work for the people. I worked for the people as a Gen Z of that day, as a young person in the 90s, when I was just an activist and a leader in the Law Society. I worked for the country before I was elected. And when multi-party came, I sought election. I worked for the people as an elected member for 20 years. For the last 13 years, I've not been in an elected office. Actually, I have been a person drawing pension, a retired person, but I'm still working for the people and my voice is still audible. What is there to retire from? I will still seek office. So long as I have strength, I will. But the call is constant, whether on a seat or not. And no, I'm not among those filthy rich politicians. I have a head over my roof. I have a car I drive, but I'm not one of those raking in millions and millions. Finally, integrity is not about age. There are young people who are corrupt entrepreneurs. There are others who are honest businessmen, and the same with the older generation. Chapter 6 does not recognize age. It recognizes what is in you as a person. So I'd advise we stop ageism, but we look at the individual. I would personally be happy if a majority steering the nation were the younger people, because they're the ones with more at stake. They're the ones starting families, taking children to school. They're the ones, I actually call the young people wenye nchi. And my generation, sisi ni wananchi. So I would rather wenye nchi were the majority in any leadership position. And I also had sought to answer Hassan Ali by agreeing that the system is rigged and that why vetting has become a circus is because our institutions are broken. But every institution is good as the people manning it. Parliament is broken because the parliamentarians we have fallen short of what is expected. A majority of them cannot even pass chapter 6. They are guided by personal greed rather than good of the nation. I think we last had a parliament, the 10th parliament. I would want to say it's a time for us to have a conversation with ourselves, with each other, about our civic responsibility to stand up for the country. So if you are in IBC, whether a clerk or a commissioner, work for your country. Be patriotic. If you are a judge or a clerk in the court, the same. If you are in ESCC or DCI, the same. The same way we are now calling on the people in the disciplined forces to treat us as their brothers. We need actually to stand up for our nation if we are to implement the Constitution faithfully. And this is the conversation we must enhance as we push for the accountability bar and as we push for a fresh start. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Clear cut. Rabia, ulikuwa na swali?
Yeah, thank you. Mwanzo nashukuru na nakukaribisha Mama Martha. Sijui kama itakubalika niongee kwa Kiswahili.
Ni lugha ya taifa.
Asante. Nina mada tatu ya kuongelea. La kwanza, katika mazungumzo yako ulitaja idara ya EACC. Kwenye huu wiki iliyopita uliona wakilia sana kwa ajili ya kesi ya graft ya Najib Balala, ODPP kuitupa. Ningependa kusikia maoni yako kwa hayo kulingamana na uwezo wa ODPP kutekeleza haki bila kubagua. Cha pili, kuna issue ya vetting umeongelea, na cha kushangaza twaona mtu waingia vetting kuulizwa maswali yasiyo na maana wala uzito. Mfano, niliona majibu ya PS Wildlife kabla akuwe sworn in, na nilisoma hiyo document on the parliament website. Nikaona ni kama mzaha, manake kutojibu swali na kuirukisha kwa wengine ndio niliona kwenye hiyo document, ile proceedings. Swali yangu ni, je, huu process ya vetting kwa nini wanaunganisha pamoja na swearing bila kuhusisha Wakenya? Hapo twaona kabisa.
Rabia, tumekupoteza.
Samahani, wanipata?
Endelea.
Kwa hivyo nilikuwa naulizia kwenye huu process ya vetting, ni kwa nini huwa wanaunganisha vetting pamoja na swearing in katika siku moja bila kuhusisha Wakenya, bila kutosikia sauti yetu, yani hatuko involved kabisa na hapo, sauti chetu haijasikika kabisa. Pia kwenye hili mada ya vetting utapata wanauliza hii swali ya net worth, na hii issue imenigusa sana mimi, maanake utakuta kwenye hii mada ya net worth, sisi wa pwani wajua tuna shida kubwa sana. Kununua mtu na shilingi 200 ni rahisi sana, na kama wanaabudu wale wenye hela nyingi, utapata atakubali bila pingamizi ya hiyo uchaguzi. Hapo nitaomba ushauri wako, ni vipi tunaweza kuboresha hiyo process ya uchaguzi, hiyo process ya vetting, hiyo process ya nomination. Wakati walikuwa wanafanya nominations za CS, niliona hata huku kwenye mtandao wa X kuna baadhi ya watu walikuwa wanatengeneza video wasema wao wangependa pia kukimbilia hiyo seat ya CS. Cha kuhuzunisha, mimi nilikuwa na fursa kidogo ya kuinteract na mtu mwenye alikuwa anatarajia ama kudhani kwamba alikuwa nominated. Na ni mtu mwenye alikuwa mpiganizi siasa ya kitambo. Sasa yule kukuja kwa meza, yani asema wazi, mimi nataka nipewe CS ya wildlife ama CS ya mining, hapo ndio nitatengeneza pesa. Kamuuliza mshahara hapo ni ngapi? Asema 1,000,000 kwa mwezi. Kamuuliza hiyo kwani haikutoshi? Watafuta tena kufyonza, yani kufinya tena Wakenya hapo ukate deals yako, yani hauna haya kabisa. Ona ni uchungu sana, manake sisi kama tuseme sisi si watu wenye tuko na umri kubwa, lakini tuna matarajio makubwa pia, kwa sababu tukiwa tunalelewa pale shuleni, utashinda kusikiza mwalimu akwambia you are the leaders of tomorrow, you are our future leaders, you are our future presidents, lakini hakuna chansi hapo. Sisi hatuna hata chansi kidogo. Unaweza kuta hapo vijijini kuna watu wenye kabisa wanafaa MCA, kabisa wanafaa MP, lakini wenye wataenda kuchaguliwa haswa huku pwani ni mtu mwenye ataonesha, yani wazi, akuje na kifua aoneshe yeye ni mtu wa pesa, wa hela nyingi, ndio apate heshima kwa ile pesa. Kwa hivyo nitaomba ushauri wako kwa hii issue ya nominations vetting. Vipi sisi wa Kenya wenye labda hatuna connection yoyote kwa political class wala elite, vipi tunaweza sisi pia kupigania? Manake ikiwa sasa nominations yafanywa tu na president mwenyewe na yeye hatujui, he's completely disconnected from Kenyans. He is so disconnected, it is painful. It is even painful to talk about it, because this is the president, these are the people who are supposed to be in positions of power. Hawatusikii, hawatutambui, yani ni kama huna pesa huwezi kuwa na sauti mahali utasikika. So yangu ni hayo, nimeshukuru. Pole, samahani, nina uchungu mwingi sana, manake wajua sisi pia tungependa kupata positions penye tunaweza kuongoza docket fulani au kundi fulani, kama ni MP, kama ni MCA. Wengine wanataka kuendeleza, walete maendeleo kwa kijiji yao, lakini utapata ile he's being reduced to just opening a CBO, achange hela hapa na kule. Kuna women's rep, kwanza hiyo ofisi ndio naona ni mbaya kabisa, yani haisaidii. Women's rep office iko apata ile bajeti yake, lakini huko vijijini utakuta sisi ndio tunajitegemea. Sisi kama akina wanadada tunaanza kuchanga hela ya kununua pads, for God's sake, sanitary towels tunanunulia wanafunzi wa shule. Then utakuta mtu kama mimi, wacha tuongee ile kitu kwa uwazi, samahani lakini mtanisamehe, kuongea ile kitu ya uwazi. Mimi kama mwanadada, wewe kama mama yetu Martha, huwezi tumia pads ya reusable. Yani ni kero utumie pads reusable uende ukaoshe, sawa, lakini huwezi hata kuafford ile cup. Wale wenye wako vijijini, kwa sababu huwezi kuafford yale hela ya kununua single use sanitary towels, utapata wao mara nyingi tunawanunulia ile reusable. Sasa wajua, you should love for your brother what you love for yourself and love for your sister what you love for yourself. Nina uchungu mwingi, manake utakuta women's rep hawasaidii, utakuta kuna ofisi zenye haisadiki. Maybe kumalizia pia nitatoa mada la 4 au swala la 4. Vipi utaweza kutushauri au kutuadvise kulingamana na hizi ofisi zenye zimejaa pale kwenye county government? Hakuna yani namna vile tuweza unganisha zile county government zipungue, ndio pia tupate kuboresha utumishi wa fedha, isiwe ya juu, isiwe inatumika vibaya, na iende mingi yake iende yani kusaidia jamii. Yangu ni hayo, nitafungia hapo. Samahani kwa kuongea kwa uchungu, si kawaida yangu, napenda kuwa mtulivu sana, lakini nimeshukuru kwa huu fursa na Afrocentric kama kawaida, na kushukuru kwa kufungua huu space wa maana ili tuweze kujenga taifa pamoja. Shukran sana mama, karibu, asante sana.
Asante Rabia. Tribeless, go ahead. Ask your questions.
Thank you so much, Afro. Thank you so much, Afro. Thank you so much, Madam Martha Karua, and everybody else who are in this space this morning. I have a few questions to Martha Karua, with due respect, and I would like you to note them because later you may respond to them. There are just around 3 questions. Number 1, Madam Martha Karua, you were the chief agent of the former president Mwai Kibaki, the 2007 general elections, and you have said clearly that you hurriedly swore in Mwai Kibaki after announcement of presidential results. You hurriedly, knowing very well that there were the votes that had been counted at that time, some were not complete, and you knew very well that, because I watched you on national television. You knew very well, you know what you said, your speech during that time. You knew very well that you are swearing in Kibaki while everything had not been completed. Now you are here telling us that you are fighting here with us for justice, when you know very well that during that time you participated in hurrying up things to cover up in the name of vacuum. My goodness, Uhuru Kenyatta was elected in 2013. He won again in 2017. Was Uhuru Kenyatta sworn in that evening? The answer is no. Even if the constitution, because you have defended yourself that the constitution was not clear on timelines, for heaven's sake, Uhuru Kenyatta waited for almost 1 or 2 weeks to be sworn in. What was the hurry for? That is number 1. Number 2, Madam Martha Karua, with due respect to you, you are 66 years old. At 66 years old, having been a member of MP for Gichugu for all those years, having been a minister for water, minister for justice and constitutional affairs from 2005, having defended Kibaki fiercely until you became minister again. Now you teamed up with Raila Odinga in 2022. You yourself had pronounced earlier that you will never work with Raila Odinga, that he was one person who had issues and one person who never accepted victory. How comes, if you are not here playing politics, how did you come again to team up with Raila Odinga? For heaven's sake. This is clear case of you playing politics and here hiding behind us, because now Raila has gone to work with William Ruto. Now you have found you have been sidelined. You are trying to find a way of kujishika na sisi. Last question for you. You have said that you have been out of politics, of elected position, or working for over 13 years. Fine. But for heaven's sake, you know we have 47 million Kenyans. Why are you still in politics? For heaven's sake, you are part of the problems we have experienced. You are the people who have led us to this place. My uncle was banned in Kiambaa during the 2007 general election. That you defended Kibaki. My uncle was banned in that fire. And now you are here. You defended Kibaki when you know that Kibaki did not win fairly. that led into to the war. Let us not lie. You know the war erupted because Kibaki did not win fairly. And now you're here. I lost my uncle, courtesy of people like you included. You are the chief agent at Bomas of Kenya. What are you telling us here? We are fighting for people like you. If you had sorted these things, Kitambo, if you had faced Moi, we could not be here. We are here because of failed people like you.
Very, very passionate, emotional submission. Tribeless. Came from your heart. I hope Martha can answer. Do you want me to take one more question before you
No,
answer?
let's with that one, and then I'll go to Rabia when it's hot.
Okay.
Yeah, Tribeless. Yes, I was a chief agent for Kibaki, just like Orengo was a chief agent for Raila.
Two
Had
wrongs don't
Raila
make a right. Two wrongs
now
don't compare with
allow
Orengo. You
me
answer for
to
yourself.
answer. You asked a question and you will allow me to answer. If by being a chief agent of Kibaki I was wrong, was Orengo wrong to be a chief agent for Raila, or is it in your view that Kibaki did not deserve to have an agent? Because we must look at things broadly. What does a chief agent in a tallying hall, a national tallying hall, do? Ballots are never counted at the national tallying hall.
I
A
did
chief
not ask
agent,
you, with due
listen,
respect, a point
let
of order. I did not
allow
ask you whether
allow
you are
me to
chief
finish.
agent. Answer my question. I asked you, why did
Now,
you
can the
become
host
part of,
intervene?
why did you
Tribeless,
hurriedly swear in
Can
Kibaki?
the host intervene?
Tribeless.
If you can answer yourself, then I don't need to answer you. You've got to
Tribeless,
give me time
please
to answer.
allow Honorable to speak without interruption.
What I'm saying is this, that it is not true that Kibaki was announced before the votes were counted. I was at KICC from 29th through the night to the 30th afternoon when we left KICC. All the votes, all the papers from around the country were brought, and every vote was accounted for before Kibaki was announced. Please go back to your records. It's public records. You will see that it is during the night that we were able to even find the exaggeration in Chepalungu. So it is not true. Number two, why do you think Raila picked me as his running mate? If he believed I had manipulated his vote, I want to tell you that he would not have appointed me. He knows, just like I know, that 2207 was a case of who is fooling who. It's a case of who stole from who. Exaggeration on both sides. Not in all polling stations, because I can assure you, in my constituency, there was no exaggerated votes. 20,000 voters did not vote. Where there were exaggerated votes, it was between 95%, and in the case of Kasipul Kabondo, 115% people voting. So please go back to records and get this rationally, and you will see that there is nothing I did wrong by being Kibaki's agent. About the swearing, in the current 2010 constitution, there's an elaborate process. Even the time of swearing in is provided. And it was provided because of the problem of 207. 207, there was no requirement to wait for any period. And as a lawyer and as a Minister of Justice, because we were still holding on until the new government is sworn, my duty was to make sure that there is no vacuum. Once the announcements were made, it was our duty to arrange for President Kibaki to be sworn in. And we did that. And therefore, there was no vacuum. Yes, I am still in politics. I cannot speak for you or for the 7 million Kenyans when it comes to offering oneself. You offer oneself individually. I have not been in an elected position in the last 13 years, but I still serve Kenyans minus a position. And I keep on saying that my voice is more audible than for the people, some of the people who are elected. I am doing it as a volunteer, as a civic duty, as a Kenyan. And you cannot tell me to withdraw, just like I cannot tell you to withdraw. It's my country too. But when it comes to elective position, you give your stand up and I stand. Let each person market themselves and let Kenyans decide. You cannot decide for Kenyans alone. And I will also, I'm very, very sorry that your father was burnt at Kiaba, but I'll tell you that it is not Kebake or PNU who burnt. And yes, Kebake's, they sent police and police killed in several areas. That's why you saw Uhuru and Ruto together at ICC. Both sides were indicted. I can tell you that had I done any iota of thing, I was the most visible and vocal person on Kebake's side. Had I done anything wrong, I would have been the first to be taken to ICC. I am sorry that the government I was in used the guns against the people, but I can assure you I had nothing to do with it. Justice Ministry does not control the police, and some of the things we got to know after the whole thing was over. I understand your emotion, and I once again say, as a human being and as a Kenyan, sorry. That incident was so ghastly, but look at Kenyans. They forgot all about that. If you see who they have elected, we should not forget certain incidents because it should help us to determine our future. And I suppose that is why we are here now in this space trying to find a new path. Now for Rabia, EACC blows hot and cold. Sometimes they do so well. Other times their behavior is questionable. They are as opaque as they come when they want to be. And at times they are good. So yes, they may say that in the case of Balala, but there are many other cases where they have accepted in the withdrawal by the system. We need an overhaul of all our institutions, including EACC. Have they even tried to get the background of the people who are being vetted so as they are able to say, this person is saying so much, they have this much? They have investigators just like DCI. So we have a problem. We need to fix that problem. About the women rep seat, it is not just the women rep, it's the seats also of the MPs holding CDF. The use of monies held on behalf of the people is not above board. And I will blame also the national and county government. All that money being given to little pockets should be aggregated, and every school going children should get their pads, just like they are given books. It's something necessary for the children to be able to learn. About being a leader, I think until we change our electoral system, it's very difficult for those without money to be leaders. We have monetized our politics. As voters, we insist on being given little monies. Maybe one day, when we change the system so that parties and not individuals are elected, and every party puts a list of the people they will nominate once elected. That way, it is not an individual who will be campaigning, we will be campaigning as a party, and there will be no pressure on people giving money. That will give a poor person as well as the same chance as a rich person. And it means because the party is obligated to list their people before the election, if the party favors a bad candidate over a good candidate, it will lose the vote. It is a discussion for another day, but we sure have a problem. For now, I recommend, if you feel you have a calling as a leader, Start talking to your people. Start laying your groundwork. In a few cases, youth without money have been able to defeat those with money. But your choice of party will matter, because your party can deny you the ticket the last moment. I thank you for these very insightful questions. Even the question about 207, it is important, because there are people who have been given half or untruthful information about what really went on. It is important everybody gets what they have in their chest out. I thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Guys, we have to stay focused. We have to know that Nanenane March, that's the hashtag we are pushing. And unity, we have to remain united. And now Gen Z, generational zote are involved in this movement. Those who are trying to gatekeep the movement, please, you are an enemy to the movement more than you think you're helping. Right now, we need everyone on board. We have to come against, we have fought tribalism, classism, ageism. We are now one Kenya. The new Kenya we want is a Kenya for everybody. That's what we're advocating for: good governance, transparency, and accountability. So, guys, that is the code. Please, let's stay on code. And so by the time tunafika Nanenane, we are all together. Because once the propaganda machinery start taking place and they start saying, oh, only watoto wako peke yao, hawataki kazi, and then we can't bridge the generational gap, we will just be this like the government that we're fighting right now, if we stay exclusive. Right now, we have to be inclusive. So guys, pick up the mic. Let's hear your views. Let's take more questions. Toria, karibu kwenye mic.
Thank you so much, Afrocentric. Thank you so much, Afrocentric, Psycho, Arabia. I have a few questions to Madam Mother here. So you are the running mate with Raila Odinga, and who Ruto won. And you knew very well since 2022, you've seen that nothing has ever been done in this country to show any progress in the country. You've seen that corruption has been going on in the country, but you awaited until the Gen Zs. You saw the bill for 2023-2024 was passed, which it somehow oppressed the common mwananchi. You never said anything. You waited until the youths went to the streets to proclaim their rights and reject the bill. That's when you started talking like you are supporting the youth. Why now at this moment would you step down at this moment, or are you trying to be an opportunist in our movement, or what? What is your stance in this, and are you going to appear on Nanenane in the grounds? Because you are very good, you politicians are very good in giving us advices or telling us things in the spaces, but physically in the grounds, you are nowhere to be found. Are you going to appear on the grounds? Why did you drop the last moment from partnering with Raila Odinga to come and, to support the Gen Zs? And secondly, what's your take on how we are being killed innocently while we are practicing our democratic rights? You know, we are following our constitution, but the government isn't following the constitution. They are killing people, abducting, but no one is talking about it. They are sending fear shivers to us while we are proclaiming our rights. We have those big leaders or politicians who go for demonstration. They are not abducted, they are not attacked, and they are not even sent water cannons. We are peaceful, we don't have any weapons, but they are attacking us. No one is talking about it. What's your take on that? Thirdly, I don't see any work the women rep do. So As for that, no. Okay, my last question is, we have public properties, like we can say JKIA is a public property for everyone, for every Kenyan. It's an international airport. Why would, I don't know if it's possible for common mwananchi to be involved in some discussions or decision making, because you politicians, you go there, make decisions on your own, and the effects later come to us, we the common mwananchi wenye tunakuwa oppressed kwa ground. Okay, I have only that.
Thank you, Toria. Jmo.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, we can hear you.
So I just observed something about this movement. It's like some of us are very intolerant to different opinions or different personalities. And I think that's dangerous for the movement. My name is James, and I am for the movement. I'm in support of the Nanenane march. And the reason why I'm in support is that we are all advocating for good governance. Me personally joined because I want government services to be efficient. Like nowadays, you see a place catches fire, like a whole neighborhood inashika moto, no firefighters, no nothing. People are coming out to save themselves against fires on their own. So like you apply for a government document, maybe an ID, unangoja forever. So you see there's clearly a problem. Services as efficient as they are supposed to be. So when I come to these spaces and I hear people attacking one another, maybe gatekeeping the movement, it's for Gen Zs alone, like attacking old people that they're not supposed to be in government, I feel like we are also becoming a problem. Actually, that's the problem we're fighting against. And I'm not fighting to chase away Ruto and replace him with some other intolerant guys, whether they are young or personally, Mimi wouldn't even want to run for any political office, but I don't mind whoever is in office, regardless of age, tribe, akuwe nani, bora tu anafanya what dictates of the constitution. I'm good with it. So those wars about, I didn't personally join the movement to fight old people, because I've seen younger people being corrupt. I'm in this movement to fight corruption and to advocate for good governance. So my question is, let me direct my question to Mother Karua. As a citizen, I'm deeply concerned about the current state of governance, as I've made it known. So you've been in political leadership for the longest time possible. So I'm reaching out to seek your valuable insights. How did we get here? How did we get this burden in like governing our country? So please share your experience and maybe perspective about how Kenya reached this point, whereby we have a whole population that is disenfranchised. So yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Jmo. I am aligned with what you've said there, that let us not become what we are fighting. It's very easy to turn into, if you fight a monster, make sure you don't become a monster. Let us hold to the values that we began with and the principles that we are sticking to: good governance, transparency, accountability for a better Kenya. Kenya, are you there?
Yes, niko hapa.
Mike ni yako, karibu.
Okay, thank you so much. So, thank you so much, the host and listeners and senior counsel. So, for me, I got some few questions to ask a senior counsel. First question is, do you believe politicians are shortchanging Kenyans? And also, do you believe Kibaki regime brought back tribalism? If you see from 2002 and 2007 on the whole incident that happened. And the whole incident on 207 showed that politicians are bigger than Kenya. That's why the swearing in, that's why all the infighting. You guys didn't consider Kenyans, right? Because I bet you guys saw what was coming, right? But at that moment, I'm talking about both sides, not PNU and ODM. I'm talking about politicians, both sides. So you guys, you saw how many Kenyans died, lost property, but you could just take a minute and just say Kenya is bigger than every politician on both sides, right? So my other question: why do politicians always change their mind when they're in government and when they're out of government? When they're out of government, they talk so good, oh, I'll do this and do this, all that stuff. But when they get in government, right, they always come up with some stuff that's crazy. And this stuff that they always say, oh, this president is good, but people around him. No, the buck stops with the president. Hii kitu nasema, oh, huyu ni mzuri, but watu around him, nah, that stuff is just hiyo ifai kwenda. And politicians with the empty promises, what should be the consequences? Like instant consequences. Hapo hakuna hii mambo kudanganya watu, we are tired. And have you ever benefited from tribalism? And no corruption, you say no, but tribalism, like from your political life. And have you ever been part of a pact, like, political, tribal political pact? We as Kenyans, we have been shortchanged by all the governments since independence. We have been shortchanged. We deserve more when we deserve better. We cannot live like that. There's no way politicians can have their sons, their daughters themselves, good health care and all that stuff, but the rest of the Kenyans cannot even afford a meal. Nanenane, we are changing Kenya, clean slate, new government, right? All the old guys, we value you, but it's time kuketi kwa bench, you see how we're going to run the country. We need our country back. Na kama, do you also believe that kama umeiba, regardless of which era, which regime, do you think that you should return back the money? Because those are the same wealth, ill-gotten wealth that cannot be get, Kenyans cannot get. Haiwezi kakuwa at the government of Kenya is milking cash for politicians. I mean, I'm so pissed off. I'm so passionate about this country because najua we can do a lot of stuff. But ni wizi regime, wizi politician waizi na ukabila, we need to stop. We need to stop. Na hii 99 is about getting our country back, and we need good governance from us. You remember, no, you guys had your turn. Just sit back on the bench. Come on, advice. I think it's a time for new blood. Thank you.
Let's take the real one, then I'll yield the microphone back to Masakaru, Senior Counsel. Real Joe. Real Joe, can you hear me? Real Joe unavailable. June 25th. Jerry?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Awesome. So thanks, everyone. I think for me, first and foremost is to just condole with all of the families that have lost loved ones during this movement, people who've been injured, and to really applaud the courage of people who have taken action directly or indirectly to support this really, really important moment we are in as a country. Even as I'm listening in, I think there are three things that I have been advocating for in every space that I have been that I just want to share with this group here. First of all, we need to understand that as young people, we are fighting for a cause that is attempting to reverse problems that are systemic and have been endemic in this country for years. So we are not just fighting to win, to have this government go, but it's also about starting to build this country again on the right foundations. When I think about Mau Mau and what it took for them to get there, imagine at the time of celebration, a lot of those young people who had fought did not actually take up positions of leadership. And it's true that they had the ability and the courage to fight, but it was also very true that they did not have the knowledge and the ability to be able to lead. So for me, it's a challenge to all of us. We are thinking about this not just in relation to what we want to achieve, but what it will take for us to start rebuilding this country afresh. And the challenge is to understand, read. I want to challenge everyone. If you've never read the Constitution is less than 200 pages. It's not just for lawyers. Like, what is a billionaire doing looking for a job? But can you imagine that the same amount of greed that it takes for someone with a lot of money to still want to accumulate more, which is part of the problem we're seeing in this country? It's the same amount of greed that it takes for you to pay to skip a line so that you get an advantage over somebody else. Somebody else could not have afforded to wait in line. You have paid, umepeana hongo so that you skip the line. Umesimamishwa na polisi, kuna shida na there's just something that is wrong. Perhaps you not even need insurance. You pay money so that the system does not apply to you. Imagine it's the same amount of greed. So let us also look at ourselves in the way that corruption is endemic in every aspect of our lives and start change there. So for you, the next time someone is asking for a bribe, call them out. Not because we are all saints, or some of us are saints and others aren't, but this problem permeates not just in political spaces, it permeates in every aspect of our lives. So tujiangalie. I really like that line in that song that says, yani ile mkono inapeana hongo imevaa colors za flag. So let us respect and demand in this movement, let us respect and demand something that we're also upholding in our everyday lives. Number 3 for me, it is to really upload artists and people who have been talking and educating. Education is so powerful. Like our wisdom that has applied over the years to date is that information is power. And so I want to thank artists who have used different platforms to educate. In a moment now, I want to encourage guys to be involved in. It's not just so that you can get paid, but please take civic education to all levels that you have access and influence to, without hoping or expecting payment. I think I really loved what the team at 2 Alif Birds has been doing, retelling Kenya's history. But not everyone can afford a ticket to go and listen in. So I want to thank some of the ways in which, for example, the director of that show is encouraging free movie nights. Let's see a lot of innovation so that we can teach everyone in this country about civic education and spread the news, because this movement is not for now, it's for years, and we need to have the knowledge and the information to be able to build this country the right way. Thank you, everyone.
Perfect. Chege? Chege Wamburu, can you hear me? Rabi, mbona kama Chege nakusikia?
Simpati mimi. Can't hear.
Haya. Jeff, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the space. I think it's 1 minute to midday. I want to categorically maybe refocus us into the main thing. I think Nanenane should be the main thing, and I think we have only 2 days now to go. So I think let's not be sidetracked to other things. And the fact that our group, or I mean this movement, is tribeless, we shouldn't even be talking about tribe at this moment. We may have personal grievances, but I think bringing them into the space at this moment, it won't help a lot. I have a question to senior counsel, and I think I have followed her for a very long time. I think I know her standing in terms of personality and judgment. Do you think that the political class as currently constituted has the solutions for Kenya? That's number one. Number two, why are you running? Why would you run again? Because you did that, I think, in 2013. So what exactly is the motivation that moves the political class to, kind of try and want these political positions and power? I think I don't have much today, but I want us to really refocus on, let's not rant. Yeah, kila mtu amekasirika because Kenya is not working, and the fact that the government as currently is constituted is rubbing itself on our face, like defiantly. Tumesema tu tunataka vitu kidogo tu, like we are not complicated. I mean, we're simply saying we want constitutionalism, we want things to work, and they are not working. So thank you, Afrocentric.
Thank you, Jeff, for your questions. I think I'll give the microphone to Martha Karua right now to answer those questions.
Thank you. I'll begin with the was it Toria or Rabbi Toria? You started by saying Ruto won. I don't believe that, but since the court ruled in his favor, we are leaving his regime. But I would want to tell you that I have not just been sitting waiting for Gen Z. If you watched last year, 2023, Azimio was on the road protesting the rising cost of living, among other things, and also asking for the servers to be opened. But the main issue, which even made the population support us, was the cost of living. When we were invited to the talks, I reluctantly was part of that, not as a negotiator because it's Kalonzo who went, but we were part of it and we gave them a package that cost of living was going to be the deal breaker. After almost 1 year, more than 8 months of negotiations in December, they came minus the cost of living. And we in NARC Kenya disassociated ourselves with NADCO and rejected the report publicly. I remember the leader of DAPK, Wamalwa, also refused to sign the report. So since then, we've sort of been alienated from Azimio up to the time now we have withdrawn. Although the time of notice is not over, we are no longer part of Azimio. But I wanted you to know that, yes, we have not been quiet. And whether in a coalition or just as myself or with the NARC Kenya party, we have never been quiet in the face of injustices. You asked about water cannons. We too were visited with colored water cannons. They attempted to shoot, and if you recall or may not know, Raila's car, which was leading the entourage, was shot no less than 11 times. We also suffered just like you did, and a lot of people, over 50 people, were killed in last year's demonstrations. So it is not that we have been sitting waiting for the Gen Z. Over the years, not just last year, we've done what we can. And you can go back and find that I've never been a citizen without a voice. In and out of office, I've used my agency where I can. JMO, before I go to JMO, the airport leasing to Adani or concessionaire, Kenyans have a voice. Public participation is in the constitution. And the genesis of these Gen Z protests is the government Ruto making public participation a circus or just something cosmetic. The public, through the Gen Z, want to be heard. They want their concerns acted upon. So JKIA is no different. They will have to listen to Kenyans. We cannot wait idle to see a public asset wasted. So far, nobody is telling us for what benefit we are leasing this most priceless public asset. Leasing out an airport, both the things to do with aeronauticals and the non-aeronauticals is like leasing your front door to your neighbor, meaning that people can enter and leave without you knowing. So we are entitled to public participation, and this part of the accountability Kenyans are asking for. Jimo, thank you for the no gatekeeping comment. The state of governance, that is why the call for transparency and accountability. It is lack of enforcement. Kibaki's first government, even before the constitution was passed, was fairly transparent until Anglo leasing, carried over from the Moi era, reared its ugly head and part of the government fell to corruption. The second government, the coalition government, both sides accepted to live with corruption. And that is why, among other reasons, the record of human rights deteriorated. And that's why I personally chose to resign, leave the benefits, and become a backbencher. So enforcement is what gets people to remain on the narrow path, because where there is enforcement, it is very costly to the individual to veer out of line. But here we don't punish corruption, we celebrate it. Even as voters, we are electing the most corrupt and leaving people who have a better record. So this is a conversation we need to have. And the accountability this movement is asking, it's also about enforcing the rule of law. Living by the rule of law means enforcement, not making vetting a circus, and truly appointing only individuals who qualify under Section 6 of the Constitution. Mkenya, you are asking whether politicians have shortchanged Kenyans. And this is all politicians. Yes, indeed, we have collectively shortchanged Kenyans. Look at even this very last act of Sami Azimio joining government. A government that has violated people's human rights, forget even the economic war they have waged against us. A government that has in the immediate wantonly killed its own citizens, maimed and injured, without laying groundwork, even asking for apologies, compensation, cessation of that violence upon Kenyans, etc., etc. Even the NADCO report was a short change. Why would we accept a report that has no cost of living element? That is why Ruto was confident to again overtax Kenyans in the 2024 finance bill. If we had collectively refused NADCO, I doubt that they would have had that courage to go ahead and treat Kenyans dirty. And if they had, then we would have had a groundswell on the side of resisting oppression. But when some of us go to bed with the oppressor, then we are making the oppressor more stronger than the side of resistance. So it makes the push for accountability a little more harder, but not impossible. Mkenya, I'm still answering Mkenya. Did we see what was coming before 2007? Yes. If you remember, those who were of age and can remember, there was a long campaign after the referendum, the failed 2005 referendum. An almost 1.5 years campaign, whipping emotions. And the call was 41 tribes against one. It was simply coded 41 against one. That time, we had 42 communities. Now 2 have been added. We have 44. And that is not to say that those of us who were on the government side, because this was an ODM call, that we were saints. Also, the intolerance of sacking everybody because they refused the referendum. That was also intolerance on part of the president's side. So we built up the tension and many other things I cannot unpackage that happened in government leading to the division in the referendum, like refusing to take our views on board in the WACO draft. So I cannot say that any one side bears all the responsibility. Both PNU and ODM bear the responsibility of what happened. We need to galvanize. You asked whether I have ever benefited from tribalism. Absolutely not. I believe the positions I was given is my input as a politician. But if you're asking whether we have ever galvanized the community, yes. In the tribal clashes during the Moi era, where there was killings in the Rift Valley of people, especially from Mount Kenya and people seen as outsiders, we joined together in parliament to give strength to those in the Rift Valley to encourage them to fight back. And the clashes finished. Those are the ones in 1998 that brought death especially in Nakuru area and also in Olmoran, in Laikipia and Supiri. If you're asking whether we have galvanized the community, yes, but for positive causes that affect everyone else. Even our recent meeting at Limuru was to get our community, the Mount Kenya people, out of mental slavery. They were like under lock and key, almost physically and mentally. I am glad that this time round, they joined other Kenyans and that work was done. But whether I have ever advocated for only my people as opposed to others, I will say no. The 2 times I served as Minister for Water and Minister for Justice, and in all my utterances, you can check that and see that I am a Kenyan to the core. The other question, June 25, we too condole the bereaved and really feel for those who are injured, for those who are missing, and for those visited upon with atrocities. We need to go back to the reset button and start afresh as Kenyans. And that's why I support the Gen Z movement. Can billionaires serve? I think it's not about the wealth you have. It's whether your wealth is honestly accumulated. A majority of wealthy people in Kenya, especially with a political background, are people who have accumulated their wealth in questionable circumstances and of questionable characters. And that gives rise to people thinking wealthy people cannot serve. I have seen very few wealthy people, wealthy in the sense of real wealthy, who are politicians and who are honest. I agree with you that our artists are doing a great job. I love especially the Utawala by Giuliani. It speaks to me. And Eric Wainaina's Nchi ya Kitu Kidogo. I too watched Step Boya, which is juxtaposing our past history, the assassination of Boya, and the present day, while our young have been murdered for political reasons, and also calling for accountability. Jeff, I agree entirely. entirely. Our focus must remain on Nanenane, on the task at hand of bringing accountability, bringing transparency to our country. Does the political class have a solution? Not alone. If we had a solution, everything would have been okay last year after the Azimio demonstrations. We would have been able to negotiate something meaningful for Kenya at NADCO. This shows that this time where matters stand, we must not look upon the political class entirely, I belonging to it. We must look at Kenyans of goodwill joined together to bring the solutions together. Nobody has a monopoly of wisdom. And I think I have said this time and again on my Twitter handle. Even when Raila said that they had spoken and there was going to be dialogue, I cautioned on my Twitter timeline that you should be wary of us, the political class, because we are easy to be co-opted. We are easy to be compromised. And it has come to be true. Let us look at Kenyans together doing what they must do for themselves and relying on our collective wisdom, not on that of a select few who might even have the lack of it. You asked why I ran. The same thing that made me run as a youth in 1992, some of the listeners may not have been born, was that I believed I had something to offer. I could see there was a gap in leadership, something needed to be done, and I stepped forward. I have been in leadership since then, both elected and voluntary like now, and I still feel that I have something to offer to my country, and that's why I would run again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The movement has always said it is tribeless, leaderless, partyless. What were your thoughts when you first heard that we were leaderless and we were able to mobilize and get the gains that we have gotten so far in terms of the bill being rejected, and the pressure and the momentum is still building, but we are still a leaderless movement? What are your thoughts on that specific topic? We are leaderless.
I was actually very excited, and I feel very excited. The way the movement has been able to mobilize so extensively, more than anybody else has ever done in this country, and had an impact worldwide, not just in Africa. This movement is being acknowledged everywhere. And after various spaces and hearing experiences from Zimbabwe and other countries, I realized that the one strong thing the movement has going for itself is because it's leaderless, tribeless, and did you say faceless? Because what is happening, if you had an acknowledged leader, that leader would either have been compromised, and if they can't be compromised, abducted, or whatever else would have happened to them, the system would be focusing on them. You are focusing on issues. You've never had a delegation going to present your issues, but we have heard you loud and clear. We know what the movement stands for. Using the social media, Ruto was able to hear you and withdraw the finance bill. Initially, they were tone deaf, but they withdrew the finance bill. Although that is a lie because he's still implementing some of the things in it. He was able to sack almost all his cabinet. You did not have any memorandum presented to him. This is the strength of the movement. Focus on issues, not on personalities. Being unable to know who is the leader and therefore nobody to compromise. Keep at that until this job is over and then pick the leaders. And I keep on telling the police and the army whenever I can that the constitution is clear via Article 1. People can exercise their sovereignty directly, and this is precisely what you're doing. We were saying it last year during Azimio protests, but we have never experienced people of Kenya acting under Article 1, exercising sovereignty directly. We have seen it under Gen Z. This is truly phenomenal. It is your strength. Let's keep it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to read one of the comments I'm seeing here. I wonder how people always celebrate Kibaki's presidency so much. He's always the best president, yet castigate Martha for protecting his vote. Can't you see this narrative is a cycle by Martha's competitors in 2013 to exonerate themselves from 207 for votes? Alas, the public bought the propaganda. Something to think about. Rabia, mic ni yako.
Shukran sana na shukran Mama Martha kwa vile umejitolea hata huku kuongea nasi na kujumuika nasi katika huu mradi wa Nanenane. Ningependa kumpa mic kwa Chege, naona umeinua mkono, alafu kisha kama wapenda kuongea unaweza inua mkono uchaguliwe. Chege?
Thank you so much, Rabia. Thank you, Afrocentric, Psychosins for keeping us here. I've always been, and also, of course, Senior Counsel Martha Karua, thank you very much for coming. I was going to say, I've always wondered since we started this, joining these spaces Afro, whether having politicians and hosting politicians is the right thing. But after listening to Tribeless, I am now 100% sold that it is extremely important that they come here and they listen to the voice of the people, because we've been hearing the cries. Senior Counsel, I beg to differ on a number of things. First of all, I am very happy that you got to hear that emotional presentation by Tribeless. And you are, as far as I am concerned, if you want to inject yourself in this movement, we need to see you physically marching with these people, because you know very well, if you're marching, they will not shoot. If you're there with the Gen Zs, the atrocities that we are witnessing will not happen. You cannot sit quiet and tweet when bodies are being discovered at Pity Mortuary. I am sorry, but as far as we are concerned and as far as we have seen, you have been there. We were so proud of you when you walked out on Moi. You know, you've been saying some of them were not born. Yes, some of them were not born, but some of us were. We were proud of you when you walked out on Moi. We were proud of you when you did resign. However, what then happened? As far as we are concerned, it was just political posturing. Later on, you came back and became Raila's running mate. You cannot tell us that you have not benefited. Of course you have benefited. And we keep hearing the talking down on this movement. We keep hearing the infantilization that their children, my grandchildren. Do not call them your grandchildren. These are adults. Accord them the respect and the honor of the achievements that they have had, because none of you, and probably even us, my generation, I am Generation X, we did not achieve even an iota of what this generation has been able to achieve. So if at least you do want to be associated and respected by this movement, let us see your actions. Let us hear your voice. Do not just tweet, add Ruto must go, because that is what has led this movement to have the success that it has had. Put pressure on the international community. You have been a minister in the government. Let us see you exposing some of the things that you know. Let us see you be part of that push to get this entire regime and all the evils out. That is what we require from you. That is what we expect from you. And please, 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 step back as some of us are doing and allow the Gen Zs to stand. Do not stand. Sacrifice yourself, sacrifice your leadership to nurture new leadership. No is uncorrupted. And thank you for
You don't want to offer me to offer myself for leadership. It is
yes, I will
not.
answer.
Let me just say this. It is not correct for any one person to arrogate to themselves the right to tell another Kenyan, irrespective of age or circumstance, that you cannot participate in this one. If it's a constitutional right, let me be guided by my conscience, not by your caution. And I want to tell you, Tribeless, that you cannot say that as a minister, during the burning of Kiaba, I did nothing. A minister of justice does not control police. I cannot tell you everything I did, but in places I made calls. You remember those days, it's provincial commissioners who were in charge of the security in the provinces. I made calls to the Rift Valley provincial commissioner, who is now a politician, and I will not name him. I tried where I could when I found that my colleagues were failing to get the police to act. And if you remember that time, the police were divided. So there are some who are watching atrocities, doing nothing. But there is nothing more that could be done that I didn't do. And I didn't control the police. So that just like you, I learned of some atrocities that were committed after they were done. But maybe my face was seen more because I was speaking and others were not speaking. I don't need to defend myself. You can go back to history. When I have been in demonstrations since I was youthful in the university, before even coming out, and thereafter as an opposition politician, and during the fight for multi-party, and also fighting for Section 2A to be repealed. So I can very well sit here and tell you that I've done my bit. Let the young people of this time also do their bit, because every generation has their work cut out. When I say these are my children and grandchildren, I'm not speaking down to them. For goodness sake, I'm 66. A person of 30 and even 40 is young enough to be my child. A person of 20 is my grandchild. If I was merely calling them that and not lauding what they are doing, not appreciating the milestone, you could say I'm talking down to them. I definitely have not talked down to the Gen Zs and the millennials. I have acknowledged them anytime that I could, on my timeline and everywhere. And I have actually said we sit back. And why so far we have not come out, the Ruto regime was looking for somebody to blame. And if you remember, the Gen Zs also did not want politicians there. They were looking for who is leading the protest. Look at a position. If we had come out, they would have been calling it yet another Azimio demonstration. But I did say earlier that it has gotten to a point where we need a real groundswell, and where everybody needs to come out and support. I will not, but let's not try to prescribe. You cannot prescribe. You can persuade me
she asked me to answer a question, and I'd like to reply. Senior counsel, I'm not prescribing for sure to go to the streets, and I do not want you, and yet I don't want you to offer yourself. The reason why I want you to go to the streets is because these children and grandchildren of yours, as you're calling them, when you are there, when, for example, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya would march with them, you know very well they will not shoot. It is a powerful, powerful statement. Yes, you did your part, and I acknowledge that. I acknowledge your right to choose to let them lead, and that is fine. Why not offer yourself? I mean, why I feel you should not offer yourself is because in 2007 we saw you swearing in Kibaki. Then you became the minister. You resigned. Then you became the running mate. So your moves for us are suspect, and therefore we are questioning you. We are putting you to task to tell us whether this rejection of Azimio is yet another ploy, because that is what you do as politicians, and we are judging you by your actions and your previous actions. That our generation was lied to that we are the leaders of tomorrow, and yet our tomorrow was taken away from us. We have been saying very loud and clear to the Gen Zs, you are the leaders of today, and we are going to do our best to make sure that your future is not stolen from you. Can you join us? Thank you.
Do you want me to say something, or we leave it there?
Kama ungependa kuongea unaweza kuifupisha labda.
We can always also leave it there. But the future will judge. There is a future after Nanenane.
Okay, we'll leave it.
Okay. Shukran sana Chege, samahani, tutaenda labda kwa huu mwanadada aitwa Josephine. Baada ya Josephine tuende kwa the other guy, alafu kisha tutachukua round nyingine, alafu ikiwezekana labda afupisha submission yako ili tupate watu wengi watoe donge lao. Shukran. Josephine.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, endelea.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Afro Cedric, thank you for giving us this opportunity to continue hearing our issues and grievances, and also our plan for Nanenane. And the one thing I want to say is that we need to be very focused and very determined on what we want and what we think we are doing. Right now, I've been listening for the last almost 2 hours plus, and the people are really, it's like they are putting the senior council to grill them on behalf of the other leaders who have been in place, which to me, I find it unfair. And like we need everybody right now, we join hands and remain focused. Remember, amongst us in these spaces, there are people who have just been bought to come here and continue diverting our attention. So we are supposed to be saying anyone who is not against us is for us. Let's come together. We are tribeless. We do not have anything to advocate for. We are leaderless. We are coming there. Everybody comes and stands on their space. Whether he is a senior politician, whether he is a non-politician, whether he is a Christian, whether he's a non-believer, everybody stands in their position. And I think that's why we said that it's no longer a generation Z, but all generations incorporated. And when regardless of their age, regardless of their faith, regardless of anything that we can come up with. It's either you are in the side of the government, which is actually vandalizing us and killing us, or you are in the side of the rest of the Kenyans, the 50 million Kenyans who are saying we do not need these governors. We do not need Ruto in office. I think the key thing which is supposed to drive us as citizens is that anybody who is for us, because people are pretending to be for us, coming here to champion things which are not necessary, to divert our attention, and instead of pulling our strengths together and strengthening what we have, they are championing things which are unnecessary. I think if we need a podium to grill Mother Karua and any other leader, any other political leader, we need to plan that in the future. But right now, guys, places, how can we tuck in the armed forces, the disciplined forces to come and join us so that they are in the forefront to lead and also at our backs to protect us when we are escorting them to go and remove Ruto from the office. Guys, we cannot sit here and listen when we are grilling people. Let's plan to grill them. We are fighting for something that we do not have it yet. Bado hatujapata, hatujatoa Ruto kwa ofisi. If Ruto was outside the office, it would be the ideal time for us to start grilling Mother and the other people, not only Mother, but any other politician who wants to get the seat. But right now, can we pull our strength and our with all honesty? Anybody who's coming here to divert what we are supposed to be doing right now, let them step down. Just remove them from the mic, because we need to remain focused. Kuna watu wamenunuliwa hapa. We can hear them. Kuja kutu divert so that we don't discuss anything constructive. Can we concentrate on what we need? Nanenane. The issue from now to kesho, it should be Nanenane. Mpaka how people are living, whether people have a right and all these things. Kindly, with all due respect, I respect everyone Kenyans, but we need to remain to our focus and to our core duty. Hear them when they start conversing. Kindly, let's think about that and let's remain focused. Thank you so much. May God bless us all.
Hello, I was wondering, how do you follow that? So, I think we are a different generation, and I also think the saddest thing anybody in Kenya could be now is Mother Karua. You see, Mother Karua, from what I know, she resigned from a corrupt government in after the 2008 elections, which is what we expect from good leaders. Joined Raila to become his deputy. Raila apparently also fooled all of us, including her, apparently. Now, during the 2022 elections, I asked grown persons who have known her like forever why they would not vote for senior council Mother Karua. And the best they could come up with was that she is a woman. And hiyo ilikuwa watu wa bodaboda, watu wamemjua, watu wamefanya. Let me average that age from to around 35. Was a thief. Since Kenyans kitu hatutaki ni corruption. So I asked them, do you think Mother is a thief? And almost or all Kenya is corruption. And everybody who was read about Mother Karua or followed her through history, anajua she has never been corrupt. Okay, political rallies of corruption, hata rumors, you see, hata rumors. These politicians who bash each other kwa political rallies and all, none of them has ever said Mother Karua stole this, Mother Karua stole that. Yet he has called out everybody boldly. Ameita watu, amesema huyu ni mwizi, huyu ni mwizi, huyu ni mwizi. But the system has poisoned our mind to think that she's this world, knowing well she has never accomplished her purpose. Will you be okay to do the same? Would you fight since 1992, since the 1980s in university for a better Kenya? And then somebody comes and tells you, we don't want you because now you are 66 years old. If that was your life's purpose, if that is what you think you are meant to do, would you be okay if somebody told you, now you are 66 years old, it's not okay for you to pursue? So what if she is to live for another 30 years? What if she is to live for another 30 years, and then that's 96 years and she has not accomplished whatever she wants to do? She lives in another country with corrupt people. What she has been fighting her whole life. Anakuwa sasa ataishi for another 30 years watching the same thing because some guy thinks she should exit the stage. I think the system has turned us against activists in a very, very people to hold these big offices until we come of age. Those people cannot all be corrupt. Everybody likes one or the other. Maybe one of them is corrupt, but they cannot all be corrupt, and you know that. Okay, we also cannot give power to persons we meet on Twitter. We do not know. We know we can trace the track record on integrity for persons like Mother Karua and Omtata and Onyonka. You see, we can track, and they should come together also and form something good, since their purposes seem to align. We will be the ones to tell them who to include there and who not to include there, because they have track records. There are track records for every. Okay, and if they happen to fuck us up, we will still do them what we are going to do with the current. If the guys who are killed mercilessly by even snipers, seriously snipers, during protests are watching from high heavens and we do not come out to finish what we started with them, we might as well have killed them ourselves. Okay? And to the current university students, if you do not come out in support of justice and accountability, mkimaliza shule pia nyinyi mkose kazi na mwanzo.
I think
mnafaa kutokea. Yeah?
you're dropping off. Endelea.
Okay. Alafu still on the Nanenane subject, mimi sitaki kuona mtu akikufa Nanenane. So guys, if you are coming to demonstrations, if you are going to demonstrations, be vigilant. Ukisikia risasi, shuka ukae mahali uko. These people, some of them are animals. So if a bullet is fired, and please pass this to the other people, if a bullet is fired na umesikia risasi, shuka mahali uko, kaa chini. Makarao wakicharge na mko wengi, kaeni chini nyi wote, because when you start running they shoot your backs, and that is how we lost Rex. May God rest his soul in peace. When they charge you, kujeni kama unaenda maandamano, kuja na rafiki ama marafiki 10. It is enough if all of you mnashuka mnakaa chini mkisikia risasi. It is also so we must be peaceful. We must prove to our parents, juu atakuwa naona hizi vitu zote kwa TV, that alafu this is the propaganda that the government is feeding our parents and our grandparents at uko ushago, that we want to ban this country. I do not want to ban this country, and I've been to all the demonstrations, and I do not think any Gen Z wants to ban this country. So it is our obligation to prove to our parents that we do not want to ban this country. And how can we do that? Let's remain peaceful. So ukiona msee anaiba ama anarushia askari mawe, piga firimbi, shikeni yeye, peleka yeye kwa hao askari. Let's be civilized also if we want everybody to join our movement. Okay. On board, then they should come. Let's be logical. They are the best persons who can lead us. You can drop names if you want, but the track records are there. The track records are there. If you sieve through the rumors and the accusations and the false accusations, you can also always find a clean, good record. The power belongs to the people. So thank you, Rabia. That's all.
Okay, shukran the other guy kwa maoni yako. Naona hujauliza swali kwa Mama Martha bado, lakini maybe tunaweza kusonga mbele. Huku tukisonga mbele tukumbuke kwamba yes, kuna watu wenye kwa maandamano za Bangladesh, na kumbusho kwamba kwao waliamua kusimama kidete na ile maandamano yao, hawakurudi nyuma tena wala hawakulegeza kamba. Wao walipoteza hata watoto 32 kwenye hayo mradi ya maandamano, walikatiwa internet, yani hakuna mawasiliano, lakini bado walisimama kidete na walisonga mbele. Na huku tukisema ile chupa la maji na simu, tuongeze pia snacks, kwa sababu labda itakuwa ni 48 hours. Watu kama ni kukesha wako tayari na chakula zao, na wenye wako na biashara labda wasiwe na hofu kwamba wataibiwa wala chochote, manake kwa vile sisi twajijua, twajiamini ya kwamba sisi hatuna nia ya kwenda kuiba au kufanya uharibifu yoyote. Kwa hivyo pia ni ombi tunaweza kutoa kwa security agencies na friendly forces wakuwe friendly pia kwa sisi, maanake sisi si adui. Ile lengo ni kujenga taifa na kuijenga pamoja. Kwa vile Mama Martha, labda tunaweza kupeana mic kwa dada huyu aitwa Alicia, alafu tutaenda kwa Esquire.
Thank you so much. I'd like to start by a short preamble that says I really don't appreciate, and I'd like to disagree with the people that are saying that we should just leave the past to the past, because that past is influencing what is Martha Karua, the questions that some people felt like she never answered. Nane is all about accountability, and it doesn't matter that people are asking for accountability for current issues with the current government or previous government. It has to asking the same questions. Martha Karua is not in government, but she served in a government. So I don't see why it's absurd that we're asking these questions. So I think 2007. The other thing, now this is a question that I would like to direct to Martha Karua. I really thank you for clarifying everything that you in your account that happened in 2007 and how we got there. And you said that both sides bear the responsibility of what happened, and that is very true. I think what people are asking here so vehemently is, why should they trust you now as an alleged yes, that is very true. But ethically, you should have held back until the voting populace was satisfied to swear in Kibaki. I think that is what led to the conflict. And I think that that's what people are asking now. Ethically and morally, are they able to trust you as a leader? And about Nanenane, I honestly think maybe some people would disagree, but this is her country as well. I honestly think she has the right to show up. And if she does show up, it shows a very powerful statement, not just to the people who are there, but to the leadership of this country as well, which might be an illegitimate leadership, but to the leadership as well. I think it shows a very powerful statement that you are not going to support them. The last thing I would like to address here is that I think this is her country. She has a voice. Someone's voice cannot be taken away. She is a canon. She has a constitutional right to speak freely, just as you have a constitutional right to speak freely. We cannot claim to defend this country and its great constitution and pick and choose who has rights if they are a law-abiding citizen. And we've seen that Martha Karua is really a law-abiding citizen who might have been caught up in, some very bad incidents. And I think that the last thing, or this is the very last thing, I'd like to say, I would really like to applaud her for every single step that she has made. She has made changes in her alliances as the facts change. And I think that is a very important thing, even to us, that we should learn from. When the facts change, the opinions should change, your alliances should change. So Martha Karua was not only well within her rights to change her mind, she was also intelligent to do so. And that does not make her a horrible person, that she changed sides or alliances. I think that is very something that we should applaud. Thank you.
May I answer this and get on to another appointment? Do I have the host's permission?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
you're
yes, yes,
audible.
we can hear
Go
you.
ahead.
You can go ahead. Rabia nakusikia? Martha, can you hear us?
I can't hear her. I don't think she can hear. But go ahead if you can hear us.
Senior counsel, we can't hear you if you're speaking.
Labda ama mpata simu labda. Mama Martha watupata?
I muted your mic. Please unmute if you're talking to us. Lakini labda amepata simu, atarudi. Endelea.
Okay, wacha tusonge mbele na Esquire. Alicia, thank you so much kwa submission lako.
Okay, thank you so much, Rabia. I think personally I would speak right now because I really wanted to ask Mother Karua a question. Now that she can't hear us and she's not responding, I don't think my question or my input would be very relevant right now.
Okay, ni sawa, unaweza baki kwa speakers list, alafu kisha akirudi unaweza inua mkono, labda ampata simu. Tuende kwa KOT Don mwanzo. Karibu kwa mic.
Nasema shukran sana kunipatia hiyo mic kwanza. Nimekuwa hapa for long nikisikia hiyo story from the other guy akiongea. Nimekaa hapa nikisikia that girl Alicia akiongea, and what I can say I just want to correct the other guy. You know, it's like you are advocating for Martha Karua, right? See, Martha Karua also has that history. She also has a bad history. So see, sasa kama she's a woman and she's being thrown out of those seats, we should just advocate for her. Okay, so that's what I was saying first. And second, my question wanted to go to Martha Karua. Ile time after we dissolved that CS, there was this tweet that Martha Karua said that we are not boarding. Martha Karua, you said you are not boarding. What is it that you are not boarding? And what's happening that you can't come out and tell us? Juu kama uko na sisi, unafaa kuwa tu unakuja hapa unatuambia yenyewe hiyo shughuli ilipigwa hivi, walisikilizana hivi. Juu naona watu wanarudishwa CS hadi sio watu wanafaa kuwa hapo CS. Unasikia hapa? So you should come out clearly, tell us what happened so that the other guys wakarudishwa kwa those seats and so on and so on. Thank you so much for the mic, Rabia. Thank you.
Shukran. Vi kama Martha umerudi. Mama ni kama bado hayupo. Western.
Rabia, thanks. I also wanted Mother to hear my submission.
Basi tutamsubiri. Msema kweli labda upo? Msema kweli? Okay, wacha tusonge mbele tena, labda Sigret.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for giving me the space. I also had a question for Mata, but I also want to think that we are losing focus. Hii saizi tunafaa kuangalia Nanenane ikoaje, the people who want to go to the demonstrations, how are we dealing with them? Inakuwa organic na wenye hawatafika watafika aje? Like we need strategies. Martha Karua tuko na yeye na whether we are going to be with her or not should be a question after we've captured what we want to achieve, you know? I wanted to understand mimi kama mtu nimesupport Martha kabisa, and she has been talking about my community here and there, my community. What is her role in people from her place playing tribal politics? Anajaribu kufanya nini ndio arekebishe hiyo mambo? Because we've seen like every other time they are talking so much about this community here, anajaribu kuwapea funzo, because right now somebody like me, I'm from the lake, I'm doing all I can to tell my community that, you know what, we cannot be following this man hata kama anatupeleka kwa dustbin, you know. Is she actively doing something like that? Because this is the same people who we hear from history and its facts that they did, I don't know, some political oaths. And I've not seen Martha come and tell Kenyans that, you know what, I messed up, but the truth is that in 2007, Kibaki did not win elections. That is the truth that Martha should say. That notwithstanding, Martha is somebody that will still have my respect as a Kenyan. I've seen what she has done. But right now, guys, let us focus on Nanenane. And the people who another thing that I wanted to talk about is Kenyans who are giving Raila Odinga platforms. Why are you giving Raila Odinga platforms? Yesterday, he went to Toy Market and people are clapping for him. Why are you clapping for that man? Huh? Why are people standing in Raila Odinga's crowds and still laughing with that man? Mbona hamfukuzi? Huh? Why are you people still entertaining Raila Odinga? That is somebody that should be deplatformed. Huh? Because I'm a hijack movement yetu. He has legitimized a failed regime, and we are now here. Huh? Raila Odinga should not be given space ya kuambia Mkenya kitu yoyote. Anatuudhi sana, and I'm speaking as somebody who has actively hata kwa demonstrations zake mimi nilikuwa naenda. You know, I've supported Raila Odinga all my life since I became a reasonable human being. Huh? But saizi anaudhi, na kama mtu anaudhi tumwambie bro unatuudhi. Let's focus on what we can do to our people. Personally, nimeshachanga pesa yangu, nimetuma pesa mtu mwenye anataka kuenda. Let us see what we can do. Let us give tactics so that Nanenane should be successful. We should send a very clear message to the political class that we are about our business, and Kenya is our business right now. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Asante dada, na vile umemsikia kila mtu ajitayarishe, Nanenane inakaribia, so watu wako ready.
Host, I'm seeking time to respond so that I may leave the space to go to an appointment.
Okay, maybe kabla hujaongea kulikuwa na maswali kutoka watu wawili, tunaweza kupata kusikia hizo maswali zote alafu ndio ujibu kabisa. Ni sawa? KOT Don,
Martha, can you hear me?
Afro, go ahead.
Can Martha hear us? No, I don't think Martha can hear us. Weston, please check if Martha can hear you.
Hi, can I be heard? Mother, can you hear me?
Okay.
Well, I can go ahead regardless.
Wait, I think she's not hearing us. Because she's saying she's waiting to be given an opportunity to answer, but she's not responding when we're talking back. Hold on, Weston. I think let me drop her and then add her back again. Or let me first reset the space. Then if it doesn't work, I will drop another back. But Msema, go ahead as we are resetting the space.
So as we look forward to Nanenane, I think we still have to continue to have a two-pronged strategy. We'd want Ruto must go. He may go the way of the Bangladeshi PM, but also he may go through an election. So whichever way, we have to be prepared for both. One thing we have to remember is there's a lot of good people, good intention, people of integrity in these spaces and in the country. And one thing that we've always known is because we view politicians as dirty people, so a lot of good people do not want to be politicians. The problem is when the people who are good people and people of integrity
choose not to participate in politics, then we kind of allow the evil people, like the current crop that we have, a majority of them, to become our rulers. And then we complain that, oh, these people are like this. So why am I saying this? Is a call to everybody, everywhere, from MCA to MP to, it's not too late. Right now, the next scheduled election is in 2027. It may come sooner or change may happen in other ways. But right now, 3 years is not a long time. We need to have everybody, whether it's you who wants to run or someone that you know that needs to run, from every ward. We need to have thousands of people right now in every ward, at least several people going through, talking to voters, educating them, campaigning, running registration drives, all these things. That's the plan B. So if these other things doesn't work, then that one also needs to work so that we can be prepared for elections. Because whichever way, even if Ruto goes today, we'll need elections to figure out what the heck happens next. So we need right now to have people preparing for that. What does that mean? Every one of us needs to be either running or having people who have integrity on the ground running for every seat in the country, from president to MCA to every elected seat. So that is the way we are going to get the civic education we're talking about, because you need soldiers, you need people of integrity. We need not to step aside and say, oh no, that needs to wait. No, we can do both. What is it called? You can you can walk and chew gum at the same time. So meaning we can protest for what is going on right now and at the same time be campaigning on the ground to be able to be preparing for elections and educating people. So for me, I would say anyone that wants to run, whatever it is, hata kuja kwa hii space, sema jina yako nini, how we can support you, details of how we can support you, what your message yako kwa ground. Kama wewe hutaki kurun, let's find people of integrity who are in your circles, let them encourage them, push them, let them be running for every seat so that when this next election comes, whether it's quickly or later, that we are prepared. Santeni.
Okay, asante. Mama Martha, watusikiza? Can you hear us? Afro?
Hey, Martha, can you hear me? Martha Karua, can you hear me? I think I have to drop her.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we are saying before you leave for your next appointment, we have 2 people who want to drop their questions real quick, and then you'll answer everything and just give us your closing statements. Is that okay?
That's okay.
All right, Weston, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Afrocentric and Rabia and all the people on this forum. Mother, you paid your dues. And Kenyans who are familiar with the history of the country cannot honestly contest that. But the issue is that in the aftermath of the Moi regime, Moism remained in place. Moi, the person left, but Moism, as in the behavior that Moi used to exhibit, remained in place. And you didn't speak against that. For instance, the question is this. I would wish to know your answer to a remark by a former cabinet minister by the name John Michuki, who said openly that they were not fighting for a new constitution. They were not fighting for a reformed Kenya. They just wanted Moi out. And in that context, he was talking about himself and the people who at that time were referred to as the Mount Kenya Mafia, a tribal cabal surrounding Mwai Kibaki. So they were not interested in reforming change in a better Kenya. I wish to know your response to that. Secondly, when there was a task force that was formed, headed by one Professor Makau Mutua, to try and find out the mechanisms to establish truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission. When they submitted that report to Mwai Kibaki, who was the president and you are the justice minister, Mwai Kibaki turned down that task force report and said, no, the bygones are the bygones. There's no need to look into the bygones. It took the 2007-2008 post-election violence for a Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission to be established. And it could have been established before death. What did you do about it? Third, there was something called radical surgery in the judiciary when you were the justice minister. That process was adjudged as nothing more than a witch hunt. Some individuals who appeared before that committee were removed from the judiciary. They went to court, they appealed, they were reinstated because they argued that they had been hounded out on other consideration, could be tribal, be political, other than reforming the judiciary. You are party to that process. And the 2007 debacle matter, we are always told if we have female leaders, they are just more than political actors. They are also considerate people. Well, that's a stereotype. I do contest that, but that is usually thrown around. What sets female leaders apart from male leaders, that they've got a heart, they are empathetic, they care. In the heat of 2007 post-election violence, you stood firm and you defended what was clearly electoral theft, while women, children, and vulnerable people were being killed, displaced, maimed. You have never ever apologized to Kenyans to date. You've never. Recently, 2022, that ticket on which you were with Raila Odinga, it was not in the interest of Kenyans. It was a ticket that was backed by Uhuru Kenyatta, a person who had refused to implement the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission. In fact, he had pressurized some of the commissioners to delete the chapter on land, which had implicated his family. There was a lot of money in that campaign, and Kenyans were asking who was funding that campaign, and they were saying taxpayers' money were being abused. You said nothing because it favored you then. So Kenyans are asking that a person who plays hot and cold like you on matters to do social justice, democracy, the rule of law, inclusivity, and a better Kenya, you will play a role of a saboteur, spoiler, vis-a-vis the current debate. In fact, I put it to you, Martha, that William Ruto had to bring Raila Odinga and these other people into his government after you and other people held that Limuru thing, which was tribal. And he felt, no, going forward, I won't get votes from these people. Which people? Referring to the Kikuyu people. That gathering was seen as a Kikuyu gathering. And it made him to sit up, look, what do I do? Cynically bring on board Raila Odinga. Bring on board the people you campaigned against the other day. Now, these are the questions Kenyans are asking, and they're valid, and nobody should say, no, Mother shouldn't respond to this question, should respond to these questions. Because how many of you people have ever met a sitting president one-on-one? She has. That's how much power she has. She has been a cabinet minister. So when you come here and say, no, you're being unfair to Mother, or you want to speak for Mother, like, do you really understand what you're talking about? Have you ever met a president? Have you ever had a one-on-one with the president? Have you ever served in the government? So on what basis do you want to shut down people and tell them? And we don't focus on William Ruto as an individual. We focus on an establishment, an incestuous, self-reproducing establishment in Kenya. People today, they masquerade as opposition leaders. You wake up tomorrow, they're in government. They're denying the very, very things they said the other day. No, I didn't understand the hustler fund. Now they've explained to me, I now understand it can uplift Kenyans from poverty. Some of the people who were being vetted the other day were saying those things. We can't have political actors behaving like this. And that's why these young people, the youth, the Gen Z, and all Kenyans who are committed to a better Kenya, they will hold everybody to account, including William Ruto, Raila Odinga, Martha Karua, and everybody else. because these people are powerful. They're not ordinary citizens. Raila Odinga is a cult figure. That's why people don't want to chase him away the way they would chase away Sakaja. But we're saying that's the politics we're fighting against. We don't have holy cows. We only want a Kenya where people are committed to ideals, to values, to the rule of law, to constitutionalism, and not to tribal politics, and not to individuals, and not to say Ruto is bad, Raila is good, or Mother is good, this other person is bad. No, you are good to the extent that your commitment to a better Kenya, to the collective well-being, is unwavering. Mother, I end by telling you that, do you know that we have never recovered from you and your colleagues who formed the government after Moi? One, you continue tribalizing the state and the bureaucracy, and we've never recovered from that. Secondly, the stolen election of 2007, we have never recovered from that. Going forward, anybody who loses elections will always cry that elections were stolen, because we've never sorted out that. Had Kibaki been a one-term president, we will not have any other problem going forward having one-term presidents. But because he refused, it's extremely difficult. Even William Ruto believes he cannot do a one-term because no one who came before him did a one-term. You did not midwife the bombers' deliberations that Moi had sabotaged, which was supposed to birth a new constitution. You did your own things, and we Kenyans were given something called a Wako draft, which was really polarizing. That referendum polarized the country, and it was a dress rehearsal for the 2007 elections, which naturally dissolved into civil war. Mother, do you own up to your contribution to the problems we're facing as a country? We don't crucify you. We're just saying in the spirit of honesty and transparency. We want a new Kenya, and a new Kenya means we own up to our contributions to where the country is, and we say we can begin from a clean slate, but we cannot pretend that we don't understand history. Revolutionaries who have no notion of their history are condemned to repeat the mistakes that were made in the past. We must appreciate history, where we're coming from, and what roles did this candidate, this figure, that politician played before we go forward. And therefore, I put it to you as I end. Mother coming here is important, is imperative. And we asking Mother these questions and raising these issues is completely imperative, is part of national healing, is part of having a candid conversation that we don't have. We usually don't have in Kenya. We are for consensus. We are very scared when we differ ideologically. We're very scared. So, Mother, please, if you could just respond to those questions, because I see you as part of the oligarchy in Kenya and part of the problem. You can convince me otherwise. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mumbi, please make your question short, and then Martha will, Senior Counsel will answer, and then we can let her go to her previous engagements. Go ahead, Mumbi.
Okay, thank you so much, Afrocentric and co-host, our speakers and our listeners. I just had to shorten my question. Western has said a lot, but my question will be just a general one to Senior Counsel. Having served on the government side for about 15 years, you have significant insight in our country's governance. What is your perspective on why we draft, because coming from where we're from, we draft something like our finance bill in a place like Washington? Is it because we lack the expertise, or is there a deeper issue related to our colonial history that you could shed light on? And then additionally, let me take a little bit of a spiritual perspective. You know, considering that our foundations were laid by early British colonizers like Kina Sabalin, Kina Evelyn Berlin. Do you believe that this foundation really influenced the belief that we are battling right now against these principalities and powers? Because up to right now, we see them putting their foundation till date. And you've been in the government. So me asking you, I feel like you could shed more light on this, because we see till date, they're still putting this foundation. An example is that they have really put a big and tall foundation at the roundabout of railway station, what we call and what we term as obelisk. What is your take on such things? I said I'm going to take a spiritual turn because as we are winding up, and from your own capacity and understanding, how do we truly emancipate ourselves from these ties to truly becoming independent and free from reliance on these IMF and World Bank? Thank you so much.
I hope you guys can hear me. Am I audible? I hope I'm audible. Thank you for your question. I also want to add on just before she begins to answer. I want to paint a picture before I ask my question, because Martha Karua has had a career as a politician and a legislator for some time, and her having served as both Minister for Water Management and Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs in the Mwai Kibaki administration. In the 1990s, back then towards 2000, she was a prominent member of the opposition political movements that successfully agitated for multipartyism. That led to the ouster of the KANU regime in 2002, if I'm not wrong. And in 2008, after the disputed 2007 general elections, that elections resulted to a widespread of violence across the country. And she led a team that literally negotiated power. And you guys can remember so well when we had the back then chairman of the AU, if I'm Kofi Annan, that came to Kenya to constitute the handshake, and I think that was probably the first time we heard of handshakes and so on. And you also led a team that negotiated that power sharing agreement between the opposition leader back then, Raila Odinga,